So we just finished what I think is a delightful book in our mom's book club called Habits for a Sacred Home. And I thought it was fantastic, but I was wondering, what are some of your thoughts?
I do have thoughts somewhere in this brain. Um, I really enjoyed it. Um, I think sometimes it's hard to because we read so many good mom books, and we've been doing this mom group for like 2.5 years, probably a little over 2.5 years at this point. Um, Sometimes the books kind of mesh together, and then I'm like, "Oh, did I get this information from this book or this book?" I know as we were reading it, there's a lot that I enjoyed, but there are also some things I'm like, I feel like I read this in another book,
Yes.
um, which is good. Sometimes we need that reminder; we forget. Um, but yeah, I think I really enjoyed it for the most part. I think I really enjoyed how each chapter had some work for you to do, some questions, a prayer, and then she had a recipe um
Yes.
under each chapter. So I thought that was pretty neat to add. Now, did I make any of those recipes? No, I
No.
didn't.
I wanted to, but I didn't.
um I'm not much, I like decorating cakes and baking them, but outside of that, I'm not much of a baker, and I'm definitely not much of yeah, I don't really cook. I mean, I do cook, but I don't enjoy it, to be honest. So, I wish I could say I tried or wanted to try, but, I didn't.
It's okay. I wanted to try, and I have the recipes for when I feel in the mood to try. But one of the things I really liked about her book was how she compared and contrasted, like, how we are today versus, someone older in the faith or someone long past in the faith. Like, she talked about, I forget the name of the monk that she talks about at the moment, but there was some person back in the what was it, like 1500s or 1600s or something like that, back when something was going on in Europe, and he decided, I'm going to take the time away and go be with the Lord, and basically started his own monastery, right? And so she takes examples from people like that and how they endured hardship, how they endured whatever it is that they went through, but how they were still great examples to those that followed them. And one of the things that I really appreciated, is that she used, like, moms, like, real moms, and one of them was it Franklin Graham's wife? Ruth Bell Graham. She used her as an example about how she raised the kids and how she was so like, she was stable for her kids, even though her husband wasn't always around because he was busy, evangelizing and going places and doing things, and she was the primary caretaker of the children. But she was still stable for them, and she still held fast to the faith, and how they still, they loved her so much for it. And like, you just have this great example of it doesn't matter what your home life is, someone else has been through something similar, and the person that they relied on was Jesus. And that is who they focused on and who they put their trust and their faith in. And he is what got them through that. And so, regardless of what you're going through, whether your husband is physically there or not because of a job, or unfortunately, he's just not physically there because he doesn't want to be there, the point still is you can still rely on Jesus to help you be the mom that he wants you to be. And while, yes, it's great to have the dads in the picture and we want them in the picture, and it's important that they are in the picture, but we are human and we have free will. And if the man chooses to not be there for whatever reason, Jesus is still always there. And he's going to help you through that situation. And it's not going to be easy. And that's what I love about all the stories. Their lives were not easy. And when I look at my life in comparison to theirs, I have no reason to complain. None at all. Like, I have a roof over my head. I have my belly full every single night. My husband is home every single night. He doesn't have a job that takes him away. But their lives were so much more like troublesome than mine. And how can I sit here and say, oh, woe is me. I can't follow Christ, or I can't do what God has called me to do as a mom and a wife, when he has called people in worse positions to do the exact same thing and they did it. They stood up and they have amazing testimonies and their children turned out amazing too because of the faith that they displayed in front of their children. So it was just absolutely wonderful seeing that example between then and now and how God can still use us regardless of our circumstances.
I think, yeah, this book, there's a few chapters that really had me thinking. One was habits of hospitality. And I remember talking to the group about it, and I'm like, "Oh, we're not in a position right now. You know, we're living, on my mom's land, and this small RV, and we just weren't really just thinking like, yeah, I can't really host, and it's like not our place and stuff like this, and just having all these excuses of why we can't do it, and then how ironic that that week my husband just was like, "Hey, I invited my mentor over. I already asked your parents if they're okay with it." And it's like we're hosting him, and it's like I had all these excuses, and my husband just did it. So, I don't know, just like God works in that. Like, he's like, "Here, this is something I want you to hear." I made excuses. He's like, "No, I really want you to hear this," and so I was like, "No, yeah, you can." Sometimes we limit our own selves, and it's really there's a way to do it because God will find a way. And he just showed that through my husband, who was just like, "Yeah, this is what we're doing." And and it was really great. Just really great. So, yeah, I really love how God will speak through these books and just the timing of how things, happen.
Yeah, one of the chapters I really enjoyed was about simplicity. Because, like, me as a person, I am not a simple person. I always go above and beyond and over the top with things. Like, I make things way more complicated than they need to be, for sure. But one of the things that she talked about was living simply. And do you really need all this stuff in your house? How and one thing that really stood out to me, she's like, you get, more clothes. Well, that's now more washing, more folding, more putting away. And it's such a simple concept, but that kind of blew my mind. And I'm sitting here like every time you get something else, that's one more thing you have to manage, one more thing that you have to take care of, and I try not to be a materialistic person. Other than collecting books because I love books. And that's why I'm in book clubs. But to me, it's like you just put books on a shelf and then you take them down when you want to read them. There's no like, you don't have to fold them, put them away, and wash them like you do clothes. And you know me, Christine. I hate shopping for clothes. I hate buying clothes. I hate anything clothes. So I have a very limited wardrobe as it is, and I like it that way. But it really got me thinking in other areas of my life. Do I keep buying stuff that is causing my life to be less simplistic than it needs to be? Because when it is more simple, you have more energy, you have more time to devote to the things that are more important. Could I spend more time with my daughter, more intentional time with my daughter, if I didn't have so much laundry to fold and put away? If I didn't have so many dishes to wash at the end of the night and put away, and I'm not saying that we need to go to like one bowl, one spoon, per person or anything like that. I'm not trying to be that drastic, but it just really got me thinking about living simply and how we can be less grateful to God for the things that we have when we just keep getting more and more and more, right? And I just think back to her examples of the people when they lived in times when abundance wasn't a thing, when having a full set of dishes was not a thing, and people had to share a bowl or a spoon or anything like that. How much more grateful they'd be if they had one more. And then if someone were to drop off at my house a spoon, I'd be like, what the heck am I going to do with a spoon? I already have like 30 of them. So it just really got me thinking about living life more simply and how does that look in today's day and age? How does that look for me and my family, especially raising a little girl that gets utterly spoiled by family? Not by me, not by my husband. Everybody else, sends her the moon and stuff. So it's just like, how do you instill that in your children? Living simply and caring for the things that God has given you and good stewardship when they get everything that they want and everything that they need all the time, and not to the fault of the parents, but because grandparents love to spoil their grandchildren. Um, so yeah, it really got me thinking. There's quite a few chapters in here that I think are good for all sorts of moms. Moms, whether you're brand new and you have an infant at home to you have a 16-year-old. I can't speak for adult children because I don't have any. Um, but I think there's one chapter about prayer, and I really feel that praying for our children is so important. And so she goes over different ways to pray. And she like one of the things that she talked about was breathing prayers or breath prayers. I forget how she worded it, but basically you think of the name Jesus as you breathe in, and then as you breathe out, you say, have mercy on me. You know, those breathing prayers. And you breathe in really deep and you think of Jesus, and then you breathe out and you say something about Jesus or about yourself, right? And it's just a way to like calm your nervous system. And at the same time, your mind is solely focused on Jesus. And I just thought that how amazing. What if we were to do that for our kids? You know, when our kids are having a moment, breathe in, let's think of Jesus, and let's breathe out, help me with my anger. And then breathe in Jesus, and then, help me, whatever it is the moment you're going through, to have a stable mind or something. So I honestly, this book was amazing. It was really good. I think no matter what stage you're in life, it is a great book to read as a mom. If you're a dad, I mean, I still think dads could get something very profound out of this. It's just definitely written from a female perspective for mothers.
Yeah.
So just bear that in
Yeah.
mind if you're a guy and you're going to read the book. I'm sure that there's some great nuggets in there for you that will definitely apply, but she definitely goes over what it's like being a mom, dealing with all the emotions of moms and, how we feel that mom guilt. I don't know that dads feel a dad guilt, but, I definitely feel mom guilt out there, so just, I think it's a great book. Highly recommend it. If you have a mom in your life, I would buy the book for her, encourage her to read it. It is very encouraging.